Welcome to Stars Launch Pod, where we chat with innovators who are overcoming challenges, pushing boundaries, and collaborating to make space more accessible and sustainable for humanity, one launch at a time.
It's one small step for man.
Here's your host, Susan Wise.
Hi, and welcome to Stars Launch Pod, Space Technology and Research Sciences. I'm your host, Susan Wise. It's a pleasure to have with us Jeff Klaska, Director of the Colorado Air and Spaceport. Hi, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, looking at your title, Colorado Air and Spaceport, to me seems like an airport, but for space, yes?
Correct. Yeah. So we're a licensed general aviation airport. We're a reliever airport for the Denver region. We have over 500 based aircraft, over 120,000 operations a year. So we're a very busy general aviation airport, as well as a horizontal launch licensed spaceport for suborbital spaceflight.
Okay, so horizontal launch. I like that.
Correct. Yeah, we're in fairly close proximity to Denver International, so can't do any types of vertical launch facilities right here. Just we'd be punching right through, the third busiest airport in the world's airspace. So that's a big no-no. So, but we definitely have our vision set for the future of the horizontal launch, commercial space industry.
I like it that you guys say you're actually located 1 mile closer to space, being in the Mile High
That's
area.
correct. Yeah, little shtick there, the Mile High city here.
Okay. So what are you currently working on right now to further the space industry?
Sure. So yeah, I'm sure a lot of the listeners are aware that the Denver area and Colorado as a whole, is one of the leaders in the aerospace industry when it comes to actual aerospace jobs per capita regarding our population here. So we have a very highly educated, high-tech workforce. And then we have a school like, CU Boulder, who has a world-renowned aerospace engineering program. And so they kick out a lot of highly educated graduates who, a lot of them end up, working for a lot of the aerospace companies, or many actually start their own businesses in the aerospace world. So that, a lot of that is why Adams County previously decided to pursue a horizontal launch license, was to feed off of and capture, a lot of that aerospace pedigree that's all existed in the Colorado Denver area for the last number of decades. So our vision for here is to obviously grow and flourish as a general aviation airport, but to also do what we can to grow and advance the aerospace industry within Colorado. And that's not just providing a site for horizontal launches. That's actually providing potential sites for satellite shake tables, payload processing facilities, mission control centers, all of the actual activities that can support and will support actual launch operations, whether they horizontally launch out of here or whether they're launching at another facility.
Because it is the future. It is what's happening.
Yeah. So commercial space is a huge budgeting industry right now. And all the forecasts just continue to show it, growing exponentially with companies like SpaceX and companies that are really focusing on reusability. A number of companies are looking at satellite refueling in orbit, which will extend the useful life of satellites. And that's a huge ROI. If you can double the life of a satellite versus having to launch a new one, you just saved yourself a ton of money. So it's the name of the game right now is all about sustainability, reusability. And we're starting to see that really come to light with a lot of everything going on in commercial space.
Jeff, would this also incorporate, say, like companies that are now doing like the drone deliveries, something along that line?
I mean, yeah, there's a potential for like those disruptive technologies like drones and UAVs and even the eVTOLs, the electric air taxis that are coming down the pike. There is the potential for those facilities like ours to host either manufacturing operations or be a location that you can get on and get off of these air taxis. But we're watching those industries fairly carefully to see how
Hmm.
those play out. But I know the big airports, the big international airports, and the big commercial airports, they're keeping a close eye on the the eVTOLs, just because they'll be a primary location for where those aircraft will be coming and going to.
Jeff, have you had a aha moment that comes to mind that you want to share?
I mean, I think it was when I got hired on to this role. I was a traditional aviation guy. I had done airport operations at airports in Colorado and in Texas. So I was your standard airport manager with just worried about traditional aviation. So when I got hired on here, it was very exciting, and it was a very aha moment to understand that you don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to be a so-called rocket scientist to be well plugged into and be part of the aerospace world. But I think that's definitely a common misconception, especially amongst kids coming out of high school and coming out of college, that you can work for SpaceX, you can work for a spaceport, you can work for a lot of aerospace companies in various supporting roles and not have to be the your classic rocket scientist. You don't have to have your PhD. So um, that was a
Gotcha.
very aha moment for me, and that's a story that I like to tell the younger generation who are looking at potential career paths within aerospace, is that you don't have to be a full aerospace engineer. There's a lot of other roles within these companies, like welders, like 3D printing, composite manufacturing, that aerospace needs all these people. So there's lots of other things you can do besides just being the actual scientist.
Like you could be a podcast host and
Ex-
not an actual
Exactly. You could be
scientist.
a marketing expert and running your own podcast.
Exactly. All right. So, Jeff, what has been your biggest challenge during this time, and how did you overcome it?
Well, I think my biggest challenges have been just getting myself plugged into the aerospace world. Coming in from traditional aviation, obviously I was well plugged in, and I was well just plugged into that industry. And getting into aerospace, it's just a whole another level of involvement and knowledge. Is just a basic knowledge of how the industry operates, who the major players are, what makes sense for CASP to be. We don't want to pretend to be something we're not. So that's why we
Mhm.
previously, to me getting here, that's why we got the license that we got, was that it made the most sense for where we are located in the United States. But that definitely took some time for me to get up to speed on anything and everything aerospace. So right now I'm having to be a aerospace spaceport director and also be an airport director. So I'm wearing two hats at any given point.
Well, my family is in the aviation kind of. They sell airplane
Oh,
parts, like to
absolutely.
the big air. So I spent a lot of time counting nuts and bolts
Mhm.
and looking up, all the paperwork that goes along with it. There's a lot involved.
Oh yeah.
But it's a very exciting time, and how things could quickly be changing and progressing in that area. What would be one piece of advice that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Let's see, just a general piece of advice. I think when it comes to the air and spaceport, is that, well, I think the biggest thing is that we're an airport and a spaceport. We don't have all of our eggs in either basket. We want to have a diverse user base out here. We definitely want to support the aviation needs of the Denver area, which is growing very significantly. And the metro, this facility used to be considered out east, away from the city, and now the metro area has grown east. So now
Right.
we're not out here in the country like it used to be in the past. And then, yeah, I think overcoming that, I think is a great thing that we're doing. And then, as well as just overall awareness of the facility, what we do, making sure we're working with our congressional delegation and our folks in DC, and as well as our state level political folks here on what CASP's capabilities are, and what it can do as an economic engine for the region. But there's 14 licensed spaceports across the country. A majority of them are horizontal launch licensed facilities. But we're going to start seeing more and more both horizontal and vertical launch facilities as time goes by, just because there's a I don't know if I'd call it just a restriction or just a limitation on what Cape Canaveral can do, down in Florida, and then what they can do out of Vandenberg and the West Coast. And then, you got Wallops, and you got your Kodiak facility up in Alaska, and Wallops in Virginia. But we're quickly running into a wall as far as the launch cadence that both commercial space and the federal government needs to be able to remain competitive, both on a commercial scale and on just a federal national security scale, because there are a number of adversaries across the world that launching objects into orbit, that may or may have intended effects on our national security. So the Space Force and the Air Force and federal governments keeping a very close eye on that and ensuring that we had what they call assured access to space. And, in the event that the next major conflict has a space component to it, which it could easily have, that we're in the best position to respond to that. And then just on
And you're ready. So,
yeah. And then just on a commercial side of things, commercial space is just moving at light speed right now. No pun intended there, but there seems to be continuous advancements and continuous just innovations occurring within the industry, and it really shows no sign of slowing up. And the stuff that we're interested in here at CASP at the Colorado Air and Spaceport is a lot of these new suborbital point-to-point type of aircraft that are being developed that have dual use technology. They take off with a normal jet engine under normal jet power, and then at a certain altitude they can engage either a hypersonic or more advanced rocket engine to perform a suborbital flight or low Earth orbit operation, and then return under normal jet power and land just like a normal airplane.
Like I'm watching something futuristic. It's amazing to see that we're living in a time where this is actually going on.
Yeah, no doubts. Within the next 10 or 20 years, we'll consistently see normal operating aircraft that are doing suborbital flights and then returning just like a normal airplane. And these will be commercial operations. They won't be governed.
It's exciting. Jeff, before we wrap up, do you have maybe a passion project, past or present, that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, one of the main things we're working on out here right now is we're working with a P3 group called Altitude X. We're looking at what we can do to meet the CASP's future goals and aspirations as far as what we need for our infrastructure, because we definitely have some restrictions. Being county owned and operated, our access to capital funds can be somewhat limited depending on the year and how good the economy is and how good tax revenue is and so on. So we started to engage the public sector to determine what type of, either could we bring on a master developer? Could we bring on private investment to help us put in the infrastructure and to put in the facilities needed to kind of help us realize this this ultimate type of spaceport vision we have. So we're in the middle of a pre-development agreement right now, but while that's going on, we're doing a lot of assessments and trying to determine ultimately what do we need. And I mean, from the basic levels of power, water, fiber optics, what are going to be the infrastructure we need to not only support us now, but to support this future growth that we're going to see. And it could be stuff like talking about the eVTOLs. It could be heavily focused on power, it could be heavily focused on water. You need a lot of both of those things to do aerospace.
Well, it's a very exciting
So we want to
time.
make sure we have do the planning now and have the access to that stuff, in the
All right. Well, I really enjoyed having you on our show today. This is fascinating. And we'll put up, do you have a link where people could have get more information?
Yeah, we can definitely go. Yeah, there's the Colorado Air and Spaceport.com. It's our website that anyone can go to learn about what's going on here at the Air and Spaceport, both aviation and aerospace. Any development opportunities we have, just find out basic information about what we do, and then we're also happy to host. We host a lot of student groups, so we do a lot of chamber events and Rotary Club visits, and we're always happy to host events out here to help us, get out the awareness and education on everything we do.
Awesome. Jeff Kloska, the director of the Colorado Air and Spaceport. Thank you so much for joining us on LaunchPod today.
Susan, it was very much a pleasure. I enjoyed meeting you, and hopefully your listeners enjoy what we had to talk about.
Hey, if you enjoyed this episode, leave us a review and subscribe. And until next time, keep looking up.
Thanks a lot.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on social media. Stars Launch Pod, propelling us forward, one launch at a time.